flashes. Hello and welcome to Strictly Business. My name is Julie Thompson. I'm an insurance agent here in town. I'm also a resident. I'm also a proud member of the Bellingham Business Association who hosts Strictly Business. And our local business organization, which works towards supporting the local businesses, has a strong belief in giving back to the community and to serve this community. Today, our guests are Bernadette Rivard and Cecily Christensen from the Bellingham Public Library and Scott Galante from Workforce Central Career Center. Welcome aboard, and nice to have you all here.
Thanks for having us.
Before speaking with our guests, I have a few housekeeping issues that I need to get to. So without further ado, our last Bellingham Business Association meeting was held on the 18th of April. It was held at the Bamboo Express. Dennis Fran, our town administrator, was there giving a kind of state of the town. As well, we had, our other guest we're lucky enough to have come aboard was brand new Chief Steve Gentile, who let the businesses know about things that are going to be coming up that are going to affect them, and was able to answer any questions that we all had while we were there. Nice meeting, really outstanding. We had a lot of turnout for that meeting, and a lot of businesses were involved in asking the towns, what they can do not only for the town, but what the town can do for us as well. Our next meeting is at the 16th. It's in May 16th. It's at Vercelli's I believe it's South Bellingham on Pulaski Boulevard. It's 6 to 8, May 16th. And it will be a state of the state meeting. $15 for members, $20 for non-members. And if you'd like any other information about this meeting, please see our website at the BellinghamBusinessAssociation.org. So, if I can get into it, and we can talk a little bit about why the Bellingham Business Association has asked both the library and Workforce Central to be here today, because what you've embarked on is quite phenomenal, especially in this area. I don't see anything quite like it. So, if I could ask Bernadette a few questions there. Could you tell us about why you applied for the grant and describe a little bit about the application process?
Actually, Cecily will handle that one for her.
The reason we applied for the grant was because when we applied, it was last year in March of 2011, and we found out that the unemployment rate in Bellingham was higher than the state employment rate. And we also found a lot of patrons were coming in who had been out of work, maybe for the first time in years. Mm-hmm. They were coming in to use our computers, to take out our books on resume writing and cover letter writing, things like that. So we found out that this grant was available through the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. It's actually a federal grant. Mm-hmm. And it comes from the Institute of Museum and Library Services through the Library Services and Technology Act. But the Board of Library Commissioners in Boston administers the grant. So they were the ones who we submitted the application to. And it was a rather rigorous application process, but we were very happy to have been awarded it. And the application was due in March of 2011, and we found out in July last summer that we were awarded the grant. But that's basically why we applied for it.
Now, I kind of jumped ahead a little bit. I'm a little bit confused, but I wanted to understand that the Bellingham Public Library was awarded this grant to help the job seekers.
Right.
Where did the funds come from?
It comes from, it is federal funds.
Oh, it is federal.
Right. It comes from the Institute of Museum and Library Services.
And the other thing is we were actually, after we were awarded the grant, we had a couple of local businesses that stepped up to give us additional funds to make it more robust. Unibank and Target gave us some money, and our friends in the library group contributed. So we were able to do things like buy more laptops to support the program. So it gave us some flexibility to do some things that the money
outside of the federal grant.
Right.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, did you go after that money yourself?
Target Target came to us through actually Mike Soder, who's a selectman in town, knew there was funds available there, and he went and got that for us. And then at the end of the year, actually, Unibank basically called the library and said, we have end of the year funds available, and could the library use it for something? And we basically told them what we were doing, and they just jumped on board. So
It's perfect timing.
And that's
It was
what the
perfect
BBA,
timing.
I kind of asked, I know this wasn't a little unscripted, but I asked that because the BBA stresses so much about giving back to our communities. So I kind of wanted to know how they got involved in,
Yeah.
in their
it was,
the process.
and some of it was, connections that we had, and other things was some people just really saying, these organizations, some have charitable arms and whatever. It's the end of the year, they've got money that they need to distribute, and they're trying to find a worthwhile cause to give it to. And when we told them we were doing job seeking, they jumped right on board.
Definitely worthwhile.
And the Friends of the Library
Yeah.
have contributed funds too. They've
I
been
didn't
great.
realize the stats in
Yeah.
Bellingham versus the state until
Yeah.
you said that. What are some other things that the grant money's paid for?
Well, it's bought a lot of books, audio books too, DVDs to help job seekers, like interview skills, resume and cover letter writing. We actually were able to buy 92 new
Oh, wow.
pieces of material,
Yeah.
and they're going out quite frequently. So, and we have them on a display towards the front of the library.
Okay, so if someone walked into the library, they'd be
They'd
up front.
see them.
It's right there.
Right, they're right there, right.
I mean, and we also bought some things that weren't specifically with job seekers, like things about helping to manage money when you're in some kind of
Like in
difficult
tough times.
Get the
right,
job.
Right. Well, until in the situation you're in now, what
Oh,
do you
okay.
need to do? So how do you save money on groceries or save money? Things that just help
Good
people
idea.
with the situation they're
Right.
in that moment. So.
And
that was
even
helpful.
basic computer books,
Yeah.
we were able to purchase them through the grant too, because I see a lot of people coming in who, they really need to brush up on their computer skills. We're very basic, so we were able to buy a lot of books like that too. So it's been great.
It also paid for our staff, our full-time staff, actually to go to the Workforce Central Career Center to learn about what they do. So when we have people in the library that are looking for help, we know when it's appropriate to refer to them. So I think Scott can probably talk a little bit about the kinds of things that we learned there.
What is One Stop Career Center? What is it?
That's a great question.
Because in our day, I think it was called unemployment office.
And
Now you do so much more.
right,
So much more.
it's a one-stop service. That's probably the biggest misconception out there, and it's probably the best kept secret as well. The One-Stop Career Centers came about for the Workforce Investment Act that Congress enacted back in the late 1990s, and they're designed to provide a full range of assistance to job seekers under one roof. Okay, so we're talking about the centers that offer training referrals to career counseling, job listings, similar employment-related services, and customers can visit the center in person and connect with the center's information through personal computers and other kiosk remote accesses. So Massachusetts operates about 30 one-stop career centers, and Milford happens to be the closest center to the town of Bellingham. So when we heard about the grant, I know our operations manager, Jonathan Cortez, outreached with you folks and offered to assist the town in the job-seeking efforts, which I think was incredible. And I actually visited you folks on the grand opening night you had, and they had a wonderful inspirational speaker trying to engage the displaced workers out there, get them excited.
A lot of
get that-
motivation
yes.
it takes, because you really get down. You get down during these times, and you need the support of others. It's great that they have the support of the
absolutely.
community. Yeah. Other than the two of you, who have you helped in planning who's helped in planning your program?
We have
think
an advisory board. In fact, Jonathan Cortez, who Scott just mentioned, he's one of the members of our advisory board. John Orthman, president of the Bellingham Business Association, he's also on our board. Kristen Lewis, she's an image consultant, and
Okay.
she has a company called La Belle Femme. Sherry Delisle, she works for Prudential Financial, the Delisle Insurance Agency. And Brittany Blair, she's a human resources partner with Target Corporation. So those 5 people make up our advisory board, and we meet generally once a month. Sometimes, mostly it's in person, but once in a while we're able to just kind of email each other to see what's going on. But they've been really helpful. They've had a lot of contacts, and it's really through their contacts that we've gotten a lot of the speakers and the networking speakers and all that. So
Yes. They've been very,
been
very
great.
helpful to reaching out to people that we didn't know existed. And one of my major observations about this is how many gems there are in our own community that really pull this thing together. I mean, there's just local people who really have amazing talent and skills that are really pulling this all together, and that's been and most of them were for free, which is just amazing that we could get that kind of talent for nothing. It's great.
What are some of the programs you've already held? I know this is not something that's kicked off today. We've
Yeah.
kicked this off in
January. It's kicked off in January. The reason we're here today is to talk about the things that are upcoming, and one of the big one is a job fair, which we'll get to a bit later. But we have done, and we still have more programming come. We've done internet training. How do you find a job online? A lot of people that haven't looked for a job for 10 years, 20 years, it's a whole new ball game, and that. There is no classified ads anymore. There are, those things,
Right.
and you have to apply online for 90% of jobs. There is no job application, so exposing people to that, and just simply how to make a resume, word processing, the formatting. How do I bold? How do I underline? Those simple things that people just can't get they need help with. We've had a professional resume writer come in to do some workshops on resume writing and cover letter writing. We had someone talk about online job searching, specifically the websites you use to do that.
Okay.
We had a really great workshop from someone from the Corey Center on stress management for job seekers, which just that whole
That's what we were talking
that
about
whole
earlier.
just relax and how to. One of the things I learned in that we was talking about people are designed to handle a certain amount of stress, and we can ramp up for stress. But if it goes on too long, that's when things start going downhill. Because you can get really excited about something when you're under stress, but if it goes on for weeks or months, it just eventually starts wearing down your health, your energy level, and all those things. And he talked about how to manage that, which was really, really great. We've been doing some open computer lag time where people just come in to get help from Cecily and I on their individual needs. And one thing that I want to spend a little bit of time talking about is a program that we bought with the grant funds called Career Cruising. It is linked on our website.
Career Cruising.
Right. It is a assessment tool. There are quizzes, or what's the word I'm thinking of? It's quizzes
the
that you can
tests,
take,
yeah,
tests and
the
quizzes
testing,
to see
yeah.
what you would be good at and what you would like. So it says, do you
Kinda
like
like
working
a-
outside? Do you like working with
It's
children?
like an educational assessment.
Yeah, assessment, right. Do you like working with children? Do you like working outside? And you answer all of those questions, and it gives you some ideas of careers that might be suitable for you. And sometimes they're things you might not have thought of. And then after that, you take a skills assessment. So you say, yes, I'm good at A, B, C, and D. And then it matches those things together and gives you ideas of where to go. And
Is that free to anyone that goes on the website?
It's free to
or-
anyone that has a Bellingham library card.
Wow.
It's limited to a Bellingham library card. So it's free to anyone, and it's linked
Yeah.
on our website. You can do it at home. And it's really a great resource. Cecily should be a gunsmith. That was kind of one of the funny things. That was kind of one of the funny things that came up.
Totem Mary.
But both of us came up. Both of us librarian came up in our top
Yeah,
20
we said
recommended titles. So
Uh-huh.
some of the stuff is kind of amusing. But I think you said it was. She had a lot that she likes working with her hands, and she likes.
Yeah.
So it kind of brings up some unusual things you might not have thought of. And if you, I think it's a great. It's kind of fun. It's kind of amusing thing to do, but it does give you some great ideas.
What do they call that? Kind of like an assessment type of thing? I remember years ago when we
It
got
is.
out of high school, we were in high school, we had to take this test,
Yeah.
but we paid $500-$600
Yeah,
for something
yeah.
like this.
Right, absolutely.
That's why I asked, was it free?
It's free. No,
free.
the grant funds
You know.
paid for us.
Paid.
The grant paid for us to get the database.
It was the grant.
And we'll have it for a year. If it's well used, it is something we can afford to continue at the library beyond the year point. So if it
Wow.
continues to be used, it's something we'll keep. It's really great.
Yeah.
That
And also,
sounds
you
it.
can do your resume on it too.
Yeah, it has a lot.
So kind of the same services that are there that you'd have, Steve would have over at Workforce Central as far as, what are some of the general services that you have over there for us?
Well, that's a great question. Workforce Central, first of all, is open to the general public, and it's free of charge to anyone who wants to come in. So that's
Another one takes the stress off
Free
the
is
person
good
that
for
says,
me,
how
they
can I
say,
find a
right?
job? It's not in the newspaper. I don't know what to do.
And typically the people that come in, they're folks who are unemployed, their hours have been reduced, or they're just looking for a career change. And those three facets, they can come in and they can use all sorts of the job readiness workshops and resources that we've had. Some of the resources that we have on site at the center, we include weekly workshops, resources and training labs that have internet access, as well as printers and copy machines and fax machines and telephones and all that home office stuff that you have. We have it there. It's no charge, and some libraries, I honestly don't know Bellingham charges, but some libraries actually have to pick up some of those charges for copiers and printers, because the copy ink that's the most expensive piece, as you folks know. There's no charge in a career center, and that's
For resume printing,
for resume
cover letter
printing, anything
printing.
job related.
Right. Okay.
They have full access to those types of resources. Other types of services that we have, resume development, interviewing techniques, networking strategies. It's a job search campaign, and that's what we're trying to.
And that's what
put
ties
together.
the both of you together, really.
Correct. It's a campaign. I think when you use the One Stop Career Center and you use other outplacement services such as the services that our town offers here, you couple them together, it offers a complete strategy, and we generally find that people have a 15% higher rate when they use outplacement services going back to work, re-entering that workforce, than trying to just go about it alone.
I was going to ask, are some of the workshops, are they geared towards any type of counseling? Because if some people have been, like you said, been out of work, the morale's low.
Right.
We can have Phil Ciccio come in here and motivate us, to all end, but then we leave and we go, okay, what now? Maybe the next day we wake up and we go, and the next day we go, then we take a workshop here and we take it, keep the momentum going, I guess I'm trying to say. So what are the workshops that you see that are key, that are helping people, that I guess people want to come in for?
Generally, we see a lot of usage for the resume writing workshops, interviewing techniques. Social media is huge today in a job search campaign. It's another strategy. It's a new tool. Probably next year and years to come, we're going to be introducing that as part of a total strategy of re-entry into the workforce. But you also mentioned about, who's that morale builder? Well, the one area that the Career Center can probably expand better upon than the library is our staff, our job counselors. So they can meet one-on-one with us, and we can coach them.
So advice
and give them that advice they need, that encouragement.
Excellent.
The last 3 years has been pretty tough for a lot of displaced workers.
Right.
And a lot of them just need to come in and talk to someone. And you
not
clear
alone.
that slate, then you try to help them move forward in their job search. And that can be tough for some people. It's been a rough road for a lot of them. So.
One thing that we've done to try to have that community is we have networking meetings where the group of people that are looking for work come together, and we have a facilitator that has a topic. Actually, yesterday morning, Jeff Bellinger did one at the library on your elevator pitch. So so there's a topic, and then they get together. And what we found is this group of people, they've become friends.
They actually we're all going through this together.
They created a Google group where they communicate with each other by email. So they've actually, a core group of them have really become their own support system, which has then been wonderful. I think that's a good result of this, is that they have new friends that are in the same boat.
And networking is key in your job search campaign. It's if you're not networking, it's going to be very difficult to land a job. By networking, what you're trying to do is cut off that stack of 200 resumes.
Get in front of that
that's
person.
right.
That person,
Yeah,
because you
but-
may not have the opportunity when you walk into the company to get past the gatekeeper,
Right.
to get into the person, the decision maker. But at a networking meeting, that decision maker might be showing up and shaking my hand.
That's correct.
So I want every opportunity I can get to get in front of them.
Right.
Absolutely.
So just all different types of the networking. You have the social media piece, which is mostly for professionals, LinkedIn. It's the face-to-face networking with the networking groups, and I'm glad there's one in Bellingham. There's also one in the Hopkinton networking group.
Okay.
There's one up there. And you just need to network with groups and all sorts of individuals to
One
get.
One of the pieces of advice we got that I didn't know was a website called meetup.com, where
Meetup.
people actually post places that people are getting together for all kinds of things. It could be a reading group, it
I was
could be a
gonna say,
knitting.
sounds
It
good.
could be a knitting group, but people, and the example was, if you go to a knitting group and you knit, you could meet someone whose husband or wife works in a company that has a job that you may or may not know about. So getting yourself out there in as many ways as you can really be to your advantage. And it is I went and actually looked at it to see what the website was, and it's just all kinds of people doing all kinds of things in all kinds of
Socially.
locations that you
Socially, where the computer pretty much
and
is trying to take
well,
that,
it could be career related too. It could be the local business group doing something, but some of it's just social stuff. And in social situations, you can meet that person that has that connection that you need to get a job.
I think that's tough. I think that's one of the toughest things are for people. You're in your comfort zone, you're at home, you're in your computer, and if I don't leave, then no one knows my problems,
Yeah,
and no one knows
right.
what's going on in my life, and I'm just okay. I know for myself, being employed though, but having the opportunity, I'm supposed to go to part of my job function, I guess, would be to network with others and go to a lot of networking. I found that I literally don't even talk about sales. I don't even talk about it. I want to know, socially, I want to know, and I get to know you, and I get to, I know you're from Bellingham, and it just really, I have friends now that regardless of business, I have friends, and I'm lucky enough some of those friends are well connected now, through meeting that, through going to the networking. But I find that very, very important.
And it's an ongoing strategy, Julie, because even if you are employed, you always have to be prepared with that golden parachute, to pull out when suddenly you're displaced and you need to be looking for work. And you need to be out, looking for new work, and having those networking contacts are key.
Beck, Julie, you're going to be
True.
facilitating some of
Yeah,
our
I was just
networking
going to ask you, what do you have for
meetings.
upcoming programs?
Well,
What's coming up?
You're going to be facilitating 2 networking groups in May, and you're going to talk about social media.
And networking. Huge.
Right, and I would assume you're going to focus on LinkedIn probably.
Yeah. I read an article actually this morning in the Worcester Business Journal. I think some of my reading are a few weeks old, so it might have been from the beginning of the month. But it was your top 10s, what to do. And it was top 10 interviewing. Third, and I should have brought it, I cut it out actually, third on the list was networking. Networking. That's what they say. And social media. Whereas, we talk about this, but we opened up the Milford Daily News. We opened up the Worcester Business Journal. We opened up the Worcester Gazette. And that's where we found all of our jobs. And now you go in there and there's 3.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. And I honest to goodness, I have my teenagers in there's nothing in the paper, Mom. Really? Really? That's where you looked? Really? So, if I could ask, before we start wrapping things up here, I wanted to talk a little bit about your feedback from the programs. What's come out of this?
People saying that they've gone to the Workforce Central and they've come to us, and just adding something to the perspective has been helpful to them. So definitely thank you emails, thank you letters.
Right. We've gotten a lot of comments, very positive comments.
Jobs?
We haven't,
I don't know of
we haven't
anyone.
heard any actual jobs yet. We're waiting for that day.
It's
People have
because
gotten
they're so
interviews.
busy. They're so
Right.
busy
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
now.
People have gotten interviews.
Yeah, injuries,
though.
yes. And we had, after one of our first resume workshops, one of our attendees who went through everything said he was actually, after we revised it, he started getting a response.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the tweaking of it made a difference in what the response was.
I heard that resume class was packed.
Yeah, yeah.
Packed.
Yeah,
And
it
as you
was.
said, a lot of
Yeah.
people come
Yeah.
into the
Yeah.
Workforce Central to have that updated because we.
Absolutely. That's probably the toughest thing when you're first displaced, is actually sitting down and putting it all together on a piece of paper.
And what you think looks good may not look good to others.
It's very
Always have
subjective.
someone look it over. So you would look over, even if I wrote it myself, you would look this over and
Right.
say,
And that's what Cecily and I actually do for people that come in with on these
Yeah.
open computer lab times. If they bring it in, we'll look at it and
Look
say,
it over.
just this looks a little.
Julie,
needs a
bad
little tweaking.
spelling
And I know
again,
you guys have
Joel.
professionals that do that, but sometimes we can just point out something that's.
Oh, absolutely.
Right there.
But it's a
Yeah.
strategy. There's
Yeah.
different types of resumes,
Yeah.
and it is a strategy. It's very subjective. You just got to find the right strategy that works for you.
Yeah.
thank you,
So,
Bernadette.
yeah.
Thank you, Cecily. Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate you all being here. I want to thank you for this segment of the Strictly Business. Again, if you join us at www.bellinghambusinessassociation.org, we're always looking for new members, and we're pleased to discuss membership and our organization with you. I think we have just a minute or so.
The camera's off.
Cameras off.